What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Cloud Slayer channel. Hope you guys are doing well. Today we got another Monday ramble. This one is gonna be dedicated for my father. So happy Father's Day to all the fathers yesterday. All the ones that are there trying to teach their sons and or daughters how to be better. You know, their kids how to be better than how they were, or just to be better in general. You know, like maybe you had a great childhood or whatever, and you just keep passing it along. You know, it's out to all those that are there doing their best to stay afloat, all that stuff, right? Because life, it's not easy. It may look like it's easy for some people, but you know, who knows? They could be barely keeping their head above water. You know what I mean? So you never know just by looking. You know only because of your own experiences, right? So yeah, my dad, awesome dude, great guy. I always aspired to be him. I always talk about like my uncles, male role models in my life, and my dad is one of the most significant male role models I've ever had in my life. He was always helping other people, working hard to do that, making people laugh, and cracking weird jokes and stuff like that. And everybody, he's just always been the guy that I wanted to be when I get older. Right? He played basketball. I love basketball. Thanks to him, doing a lot of things to help other people. Sometimes even if I don't know how to say it, but yeah, but he's also not perfect, right? He's not perfect. He has his battle with problems. Everybody has their own battle with problems, but that didn't stop him and other people like him, where they do their best to teach their children all that they can, right? Teach them how to be decent human beings. Teach them how to help other people. All that kind of stuff. He instilled help. He was one half of helping to instill a certain work ethic into us, into me and my siblings, right? And he was always there even though, he wasn't like the best person to receive advice from. He knew what to say, when to say it, right? Because I don't know, that's just how he was. He sucked at giving advice, but he knew when to say the correct words when he had to say them, and I greatly appreciate that. He never really disciplined us like that. There's a couple times, only times he would discipline us like physically, stuff like that, was when it was like really bad. Especially if we were like already fighting or something, punching each other and stuff like that, hitting each other with objects or whatever. My little sibling and I, my little brother more specifically, and it would just make him mad. So, which is understandable. We shouldn't have been beating on each other in the first place, So when you beat on somebody that's not your size, a bigger person's going to come and beat on you, right? And that's kind of what they taught, right? They taught things like that. My dad was always busy. He did plumbing. He did carpentry for years and things like that. And he just did the best he could for us. He worked for like Roto-Rooter and things like that. And he taught me a lot of things growing up. I always had to be there when he had to fix things and try to get tools for him and hold the light for him, and you know what I mean. And it was expected to be there and learn and be a part of those beautiful things. I think my most notable things were always, like we got to go into the mansion. I talk about Heart of the Earth, and we had to go do some things because you get hired by the school to go work on that, and clean up rooms and rip up carpet, lay a new carpet, and change out windows or something, because kids would throw rocks at the windows and break the windows, and he was kind of like a handyman in that sense, outside of already doing plumbing and doing carpentry stuff. So it all played into doing that, he would always find some type of work to do for people like that, right? Or entities, do stuff for the entities and things like that. So it was always fun because he taught us how to put in windows, taught us how to do siding, taught us, do some little bit of roofing. I learned some of that stuff in high school and stuff, not to the extent that people do on the day to day at their job sites and stuff like that, but to the extent where I can at least help and or do it on my own. Probably not at the most efficient rate, but at least at a rate that I can get it done right in a timely fashion. I did a little roofing myself. I went out to like Grand Forks, ended up getting hired by some subcontractors. I wanted to do a little bit of that work. I guess in a sense to be closer to my dad, but obviously he knew what he was doing. He went to school for it. I didn't. I was a gopher and just did whatever was asked of me. So, but anyways, it helps me now that I don't do that subcontractor type work, and that whenever something comes up and they need the help, I can help at least a little bit, and I'm happy. I'm happy about that. So, even he taught me that sometimes that the hard work, that you do, it doesn't matter if you get recognized for it or not. It's not about being recognized for those certain things. It's about the feeling that you get for helping other people. It's about knowing that you help this person, at least sleep a little bit easier at night, on whatever it is that they needed. So that's another big thing that I give my dad credit for. We obviously we don't get along all the time, like to the full extent, because at the end of the day, we're still humans, and I'm a knucklehead, he's a knucklehead, whatever, and it just there's uncanny similarities in us for that. We're both competitive and things like that. So he instilled a lot of great traits into us, and those traits, we call them traits, right? But I think that's just something you learn through your years of trying to help, trying to do certain things, or being exposed to those things that you take with you from the people that you look up to most, right? Example, my dad, my uncles, my whomever. There's another great man in my life, my grandpa. I shared a story about how it was when I was a kid, when it wasn't so much that I liked him as a kid. But he ended up changing and becoming better. Because he had his own stuff, demons he had to fight. But he was a great grandpa. And there's not much more I could say about him. Besides that, he would be there as much as he could. If him and my mom wasn't fighting and stuff like that, because that would happen. Sometimes she would fight him because, so when I was younger, they would have to work. They'd come back and I'd be beating up, rug burns and stuff like that, and that's why they would fight. And then eventually we end up able to live in our own places and stuff like that. And she wasn't going to take that getting talked down to from him at or what she perceived to be that, or whatever, whatever case may be. And I think as he got older, he's seen that, like, I pushed my family away through my actions. So, he eventually started being different, right? He started treating others in a different way. And he was an old dog, right? So if he could learn, anybody can learn. I give him credit. My grandpa wasn't. I'm not saying my grandpa was a dummy or anything like that. He was a very, very intelligent man. He was just, he had things that he probably needed closure on the inside, and it took him a long time before he could cover those wounds and act properly, deal with them. I heard for many years he was an alcoholic, and he never drank alcohol when I was alive, that I ever seen. So he quit before I was born. Things like that. So I don't know. It's a lot of family drinking, everybody was drinking, smoking cigarettes and stuff like that, but it's what it is. He just he would he would always tell us old war stories. So he would tell us, he would tell us certain things that he went through as a young man, and it always got the gears turning. It always got me wondering, and you know, he talked about why why he joined the military, right? Because there was nothing going on anywhere else, and you almost had to go to the military at that time. He served in Vietnam because he said that there was nothing out here, just nothing but trouble, and people dying and all this other stuff. And he's like, I had to pursue it. I had to join the military, or else there was literally almost nowhere else to go, right? The military put him through school. The military put, money in his pocket to send back to family if he had to. And, he was up to the day he died, he was always just giving away the money because, he didn't care about the money. He only cared when it was running low, but he didn't care about it. If it kept the ones around him happy, he would spend it. He would be more than happy to spend it and things like that. You just had to spend time with him and, BS and things like that. And he just picked people's brains. He was, towards the end of his life, I only knew him as the man that was blind and couldn't really walk because of the diabetes was getting so bad for him, And I don't know. He taught me how to play chess. He used to whoop up on me when we play chess. So I always get that nostalgic feeling whenever I play chess. So even if I just play by myself, because there's not many people that like to play chess nowadays. Not in person anyways, whatever reason. But I appreciate these guys very much in my life. Even my older cousin Joe. I don't think we've been on real good terms or whatever, but it is what it is. He was a great influence for me to stay out of joining gangs and things like that when I was a kid. He made me think that they have no power over me. It means nothing if you can't go and have your own freedom. That's what he told me. Ironically, he went and joined a gang later on in life or whatever, but that's his choice. He made that choice. He helped keep me away when I was younger. I probably would have got into way, way more trouble when I was a kid, especially when I was a kid. So considering some of the friends that I was hanging out with, especially when I lived down in the cities. So it is what it is. Like I said, even though he later went to do that stuff, doesn't mean I don't appreciate what he did for me when I was younger, right? And I love that dude like my brother. He's my cousin, but he'll always be my brother when I see him. I give him a big hug, tell him I love him, whatever, because I do love him. He's my big brother forever. Things like that. So if you have any older male influences, usually Father's Day is the day to show them, but anytime you see them, you can just show them, just tell them you appreciate them and things like that. Because one day you might not be able to. So, and I'm trying to be that influence for my son one day at least, and maybe one day he'll be talking about my loser self being an awesome dad, even though from my point of view I'm not really too awesome, right? So, but to those young ones, we're all awesome. So even if you're beating yourself up on the inside, you don't think that, and you got a little one who looks up to you, who thinks the world of you, even if you don't feel like the world, even if you don't feel like you're worth anything, to them, you're awesome, you're great, and I don't know if you need any more motivation than that to keep going, but if you do, just look at those smiles that those ones give you, look at the smiles that they give you, that you can give them without even trying, just by seeing your face, they'll be happy. So, but anyways, I hope everybody has a great one. Till next ramble, I hope you guys have a great one. And, hopefully, if you're not a father or whatever, hopefully one day you can be the father that you want to be. You hope you can be the father that of the person that you most looked up to, or anything of that nature. So I hope you guys have a great one. Until next time, peace.